walks with their governess, or visiting the poor who often preferred to be left alone. Soon, after midnight on that awful night, Lady Agatha was woken by a most strange and unearthly sound, an eerie and mournful noise like a train with indigestion. She sat up, pulled her father's heavy tweed jacket around her shoulders, and bravely stepped outside. And then it happened. Out of the blackness and the snow there loomed a ghastly, gigantic, hairy thing. Before she could even scream, a pair of huge brown arms grasped the terrified girl, and then the foul beast turned and, leaping swiftly back up the sheer side of the mountain, vanished out of sight. The poor Earl and his porters searched and searched for many days, risking death in the cruel blizzards and the raging wind, but it was useless. The fresh snow had wiped out all possible tracks. Only a blue bedsock, kicked off by the struggling girl, remained to Lady Agatha's distraught father. He took it back to England, to his ancestral home at Farleigh Towers, and slept with it under his pillow for the rest of his life. And when people asked him what had happened to his lovely daughter, he always said she must have lost her memory and wandered away and been buried by an avalanche, because he simply wouldn't believe what all the porters told him, that his daughter had been carried away by a yeti. That vile monster who can tear a human being limb from limb, or crunch one up in a single bite. A creature so terrible and fearsome that it is known as the Abominable Snowman. But of course the porters were right. Agatha had been carried away by a yeti. He had run with her high over the sacred mountain of Nanvidar, and all her kicks and struggles and screams felt no more to his brute strength than the hiccuping of a flea. Until at last the thin air, the bitter cold and blind terror brought release, and the poor girl mercifully fainted. When she came round, she knew at once where she was. There could only be one place as beautiful as this: heaven. The sky above her head was a marvellous rich royal blue with little fleecy clouds. The grass on which she lay was soft and sweet-smelling and studded with beautiful flowers. Tiny blue gentians, golden primulas, scarlet lilies. Agatha sat up. She felt sore and bruised, but that was understandable. You couldn't die and go to heaven without feeling a little bit uncomfortable. She looked around. The air was warm, and she saw trees covered in red and white and cream blossoms as big as plates. There was a stream, crystal clear and bubbly, with kingfishers darting about its banks. Far above her, an eagle circled lazily. She was in a broad valley, surrounded on every side by sheer, jagged cliffs and escarpments. And then, to her surprise, beyond the steep ridges which surrounded the valley, she saw the unmistakable outline of the peak of Nanvidar, glittering white in the early morning sun. "Perhaps I haven't died after all," said Lady Agatha. And there was something else that didn't go with the idea of heaven in the least. A few meters away from her, sitting so quietly that she had taken it for a boulder or the stump of a huge tree, was an absolutely enormous dark brown beast. It wasn't a bear. It was much, much bigger than a bear. It wasn't a man. It was much, much hairier than any man. And then she remembered. A yeti. She had been carried away by a yeti over mountains so dangerous that she could never make her way back alone. She was trapped here in this secret valley, perhaps forever. "I should feel terribly frightened," thought Agatha. But feeling frightened is an odd thing. You either feel it or you don't, and Agatha didn't. Instead, she got up and walked quietly towards the Yeti. Then she leaned forward and put her arm on the Yeti's arm. At once, she was buried up to the elbow in long...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.